Hey everybody, it's Stacie Duffy here, your Denver Metro real estate resource, and today we're going to talk about deed restrictions. Yes, they exist. Yes, you need to know what they are, especially if your house has some. So it's a huge and very important reason to read your title commitment. So I know a lot of people don't read that, or their realtor just says, oh yeah, title company sent you over the title commitment, let me know if you have any questions. And most people have no idea what they're looking at, whether they've bought a house before or not, unless their realtor goes through that with them, or if you understand it. So I'll put a link up here to my video on title insurance. I'll also put one down in the description about what it is and why you need it. But one of the big reasons to read your title commitment is they are going to have a list of exceptions on things they are not going to insure. One of those things, especially if your house was built in the 1950s, 60s, maybe 70s at some point, detached single family. I run into it all the time here in Denver. But one of those deed restrictions could very likely be, or one of those exceptions is going to be deed restrictions. So, and what that is it was a builder's way of kind of trying to keep the community nice and set some guidelines and some rules for the owners when they purchase property. But it was before HOAs were really common, especially for single family homes, because there's no common areas, so to speak, to take care of. So what it was is sometimes it'll be just a couple of pages, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. And in the real estate world, that is a couple. That is a very short document in relation to other things. But they are covenants and deed restrictions that convey with the property. They convey with the deed. And the reason you need to know what those are is because a lot of times there's actually a list of, hey, here's the process if you want to put up a fence. Here's the process if you want to paint your house. Very similar rules to an HOA type arrangement, but more limited. And the biggest thing, and I just say be aware of them. For example, the one that came up this week was chickens. So my buyers wanted to have some chickens, and the city has rules on that, and they were well within what the city would allow for that area. But I went through the title commitment with them like I always do with my buyers and said, okay, here are your deed restrictions. We need to read those, and you need to be aware of what you're signing up for, because this house has rules, and those rules convey with the deed. So, and one of those said, okay, no agricultural or farm animals on your property. She goes, well, what about the chickens? I said, okay, so let's go down to the enforcement section. Because the reason that these aren't done very much anymore and that they didn't really work was enforcement. So you can make rules, but if there's no one there to enforce the rules, what good are they? And if someone breaks it, what happens? What's the consequences? So a lot of those deed restrictions, at least the ones I've run across recently, this is not the case for all of them. Read your deed restrictions and your covenants if they convey with the property, whether they're HOA, non-HOA, regardless. They are rules that you are agreeing to abide by purchasing that property. But, so we go down and read the enforcement section, and a lot of times the enforcement section will just say, okay, it's enforceable by city code ordinance or by local police. Well, I don't know about you, but my police got better things to do than worry about whether someone has chickens and their deed restrictions say they don't, because chances are no one in the neighborhood even knows what the deed restrictions say because they didn't read them. And their realtor didn't tell them that they even had them on the title commitment. So anyway, keep in mind, they are rules that you are agreeing to abide by when you purchase the property. Will you get caught if you decide to break them? Depends on if anyone else read them, what the enforcement options are based on those rules, all that kind of stuff. So, but I always recommend that you read your deed restrictions and your covenants and go through your title commitment and look through the exceptions, because if they're not insuring something, you need to know that. That's like getting car insurance and they say, okay, we're not going to insure you if you hit somebody. Wait, that's what it's for. So make sure you know what they're not going to cover and why they're not going to cover that. But anyway, if you have any more questions about this, I know this is kind of an off-the-wall topic, but it's little things like that catch people later on, that they get really upset. And a lot of times they get upset at their realtor because they didn't go through and read their documents, or their realtor didn't tell them, yes, you need to read these things. So anyway, if you have any more questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to leave them down below. If you want to reach out to me directly, you're welcome to do that. My contact information is on my website, and the link for that is down below as well. So if you're liking my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. And thanks for the time, guys, and have a great day.